Earlier in this course, we discussed public goods and private goods. Now let's put that to use. Public goods are related to standards in that standards are a type of a public good. There's a public good that's produced when we use a standard. It's the technical nature of the standard, whether it's a quality standard, a reference standard, or some sort of an interference standard. Free riding behavior, the concept that some who benefit from the standard but may not pay on the part of a profit-maximizing firm, may tend to result in too many standards. Too many different standards breed too little coordination. So we don't want to rule out the possibility that there might be grounds for government intervention here, every now and then. It might be the case that the government might want to step in and actually set the standards so we don't publish too many standards. Most economists believe in competition, and open standards are the best way to handle things to achieve that competition. It would be in the best interest of consumers to have a few government-mandated standards, though. So let's talk about the economics of standards. As we mentioned before, government-mandated standards result in stagnation over time. They oftentimes can be manipulated by the political authority rather than an open competition to determine which is the best of many competing standards. As a result, government-mandated standards may give you far from the optimal provision of a public good. The public good is probably going to be promoted best by having open standards. Public goods can actually operate in a system where we have many different standard-setting organizations and we have a market rivalry in standards. The non-wireless markets have already provided ample evidence of that. So whether markets provide optimal standards is an open question, but a market process may lead to de facto optimal standards, and that's pretty important in wireless standards. A stale standard in the wireless area, which moves very quickly, may actually be quite useless. Standard-setting organizations and their workings actually deserve a great deal of study. And we haven't done a great deal of study on the beneficial role of standard-setting organizations in the wireless industry. Next, I'd like you to take a look at some examples of open standards, especially open standards that deal with wireless. For example, let's look at the Internet, which is often accessed on a wireless device. You probably use the Internet through your smartphone or mobile because the Internet runs on standard protocols called TCP/IP, or Transmission Control Protocol Internet Protocol. Because of the TCP/IP standard, every smartphone, regardless of manufacturer, is able to access every Internet site. Why was TCP/IP adopted as the standard by which we communicate over the Internet? The answer was probably because it was free and it was open to anyone to implement. Are there better standards that we could use to communicate over the Internet? Well, there might be, but it turns out something that's free and something that's open for anyone to implement is very attractive. It turns out that this one has come to be the standard that has won the battle for competing standards. So you're using TCP/IP, and I'm using TCP/IP. You can see on your screen exactly what I see on my screen. I'll bet that everybody watching this course is not using the same browser. You're using different browsers. Some of you may be using Internet Explorer, some of you may be using Firefox, others may be using Chrome or Safari. How is it the case that all of us are seeing relatively the same material? Some of you may even be watching this on a tablet and getting the information over a Wi-Fi network. Some of you may be wired into the network. Some of you may be receiving this through your cellular network because you're watching it on your smartphone. Yet all of us are using a browser. In some cases, it's connected wirelessly, and in other cases, it might be wired. But you're getting exactly what I'm sending you. How is that possible? It's because we've voluntarily adopted, standard protocols or standards. We are all receiving the economic benefits of the voluntary standards.